The Strait of Hormuz is closed. Oil tankers drift helplessly in the water. Insurance markets collapse within hours. Global oil prices surge beyond control. And somewhere in the world's most strategically critical maritime corridor, the most powerful navy on Earth is forced to slow down, hesitate, and wait. Not because of enemy fleets, not because of submarines, but because of something far simpler, something far older. Sea mines. At the heart of this unfolding crisis lies one of the most overlooked vulnerabilities in modern naval warfare: the inability to guarantee access to contested waters.
Before we move forward, please like, subscribe, and share Strategic Vanguard, and be up to date with the latest news and happenings from the world of defense and strategic affairs. Tune into our video channels in Rumble and YouTube. And if you want to hear the audio version, please tune into Strategic Vanguard Deep Dive in Spotify.
And nowhere is this vulnerability more exposed than in the narrow, volatile stretch of water known as the Strait of Hormuz. This is not just a geographic choke point. It is the strategic fulcrum of global energy flows. Nearly 1/5 of the world's oil passes through this narrow corridor. Every tanker that crosses it is a thread in the fabric of the global economy. And every disruption sends shockwaves far beyond the region. Now imagine that corridor seeded with mines. Not hundreds, but potentially thousands. This is where the strategic calculus shifts. Because while the United States Navy has built its reputation on power projection, carrier strike groups, advanced destroyers, nuclear submarines, its ability to deal with one of the oldest weapons in naval warfare remains deeply constrained. And its adversary understands this perfectly. The naval doctrine of Iran, particularly through the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy, is not designed to defeat the United States in conventional terms. It is designed to deny, disrupt, and destabilize. It is a doctrine rooted in asymmetry, where the objective is not victory in battle, but paralysis of movement. And sea mines are at the center of that doctrine. To understand why this matters, we must first understand what sea mines really are, not just as weapons, but as strategic instruments. Sea mines are deceptively simple. They can be deployed from small boats, submarines, or even disguised civilian vessels. They can remain dormant for extended periods, and they can be triggered by contact, magnetic signatures, acoustic signals, or pressure changes. They do not need precision targeting. They do not require advanced guidance systems. They do not need to sink ships to be effective. They only need to create uncertainty. And in maritime warfare, uncertainty is a weapon in itself. Because once a waterway is suspected to be mined, movement slows, ships reroute, insurance premiums skyrocket, commercial traffic halts, naval operations become cautious, methodical, and time-consuming. In other words, access is denied. This is the essence of mine warfare, not destruction, but denial. Iran's strategy in the Persian Gulf is built around this principle. The geography of the Strait of Hormuz works in its favor. At its narrowest, the navigable shipping lanes are only a few kilometers wide. This creates a perfect environment for concentrated mine deployment. Iran does not need a large navy to exploit this geography. It needs speed, dispersion, and volume. Small, fast attack craft can lay mines quickly and retreat. Submarines can deploy mines covertly. Even merchant vessels can be used to seed the waters without immediate detection. And once deployed, these mines create a layered threat environment. Now consider the challenge faced by the United States. Mine clearance is not a rapid process. It is slow, deliberate, and resource-intensive. Specialized ships must sweep designated areas. Helicopters must tow detection equipment. Unmanned underwater vehicles must scan the seabed. Each mine must be identified, classified, and neutralized. This is not warfare at high speed. This is warfare measured in meters per hour. And during this time, the clearing forces themselves are vulnerable. They operate at low speeds. They follow predictable patterns. They are exposed to attack from missiles, drones, and fast boats. In a contested environment like the Strait of Hormuz, mine clearance becomes not just a technical challenge, but a tactical risk. The United States Navy does possess mine countermeasure capabilities, but these capabilities reveal a deeper structural issue. The primary dedicated mine countermeasure vessels, the Avenger-class ships, are aging platforms. Many were designed decades ago. Their numbers are limited. Their deployment capacity is constrained. Efforts to modernize this capability through the Littoral Combat Ship program have faced significant delays and technical challenges. The idea was to create modular mine countermeasure systems that could be deployed flexibly. In practice, these systems have struggled to achieve full operational effectiveness at scale. As a result, the U.S. Navy relies heavily on a mix of legacy platforms, helicopters, and evolving unmanned systems. This creates a capability gap. Not in absolute terms, but in operational readiness for a high-intensity, large-scale mining scenario. Because the question is not whether the United States can clear mines, the question is whether it can clear them fast enough, under threat, and at the scale required to reopen one of the world's most critical maritime arteries. And this is where the strategic imbalance becomes evident. Iran's investment in mine warfare is not about technological superiority. It is about cost-effectiveness and strategic leverage. A single modern naval vessel costs billions of dollars. A sea mine costs a fraction of that. Yet the mine can neutralize the movement of that vessel, or force it into a defensive posture. This inversion of cost and effect is at the heart of asymmetric warfare. And in the confined waters of the Strait of Hormuz, this asymmetry is amplified. Now extend this scenario beyond the battlefield. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz is not just a military event, it is a global economic crisis. Oil prices would spike immediately, supply chains would be disrupted, energy-dependent economies would face severe pressure. Strategic reserves would be activated. Markets would react with volatility. Countries like India, China, and major European economies would feel the impact within days. The ripple effects would extend far beyond energy markets, into shipping, manufacturing, and financial systems. In this context, mine warfare becomes more than a naval issue. It becomes a tool of strategic coercion. And this is precisely why it is so effective. Because it operates in the space between war and disruption, where the costs are high, but the threshold for full-scale retaliation remains ambiguous. For the United States, this presents a strategic dilemma. Its naval doctrine is built on the ability to project power globally, to move forces rapidly, to maintain presence, to ensure freedom of navigation. But mine warfare challenges this doctrine at its core. Because it does not confront power directly, it restricts movement, it slows momentum, it forces recalibration. And in doing so, it shifts the balance of initiative. The presence of a carrier strike group in the region may signal strength. But if the waters ahead are mined, that strength cannot be fully exercised. This is not a failure of capability. It is a misalignment of priorities. Modern naval power has evolved around high-end warfare. Missiles, aircraft, submarines, network-centric operations. But mine warfare remains a low-end threat with high-end consequences. And this creates a gap in strategic preparedness, because the future of naval conflict may not always be decided by advanced platforms. It may be decided by who can control access to critical waterways. And control, in this context, is not about presence. It is about clearance. It is about assurance. It is about the ability to say, not just that you can enter a region, but that you can operate freely within it. In the Strait of Hormuz, that assurance is fragile because the tools required to maintain it are limited, slow, and vulnerable. And the adversary's strategy is designed precisely to exploit that fragility. This leads us to a deeper strategic insight. Naval superiority is no longer defined solely by the size or sophistication of a fleet. It is defined by the ability to operate in contested environments where access is denied. And denial in modern warfare does not require dominance. It requires disruption. It requires persistence. It requires the ability to impose costs disproportionate to the investment made. Iran's mine warfare strategy embodies this principle. It does not seek to destroy the U.S. Navy, it seeks to constrain it, to delay it, to complicate its operations, and in doing so, to create strategic leverage far beyond its conventional capabilities. For the United States, addressing this challenge requires more than incremental improvements. It requires a reassessment of priorities. Mine countermeasure capabilities must be scaled, modernized, and integrated into broader naval operations. Unmanned systems must move from experimental to operational at scale. Coordination with allies must be strengthened. Because in a real-world scenario, mine clearance would not be conducted in isolation. It would be part of a broader coalition effort, one that includes regional partners, allied navies, and coordinated maritime security operations. But even with these measures, the fundamental challenge remains: time. Mine warfare is a slow process, and in a fast-moving crisis, time becomes the most critical variable. Every day the strait remains closed is a day of economic disruption. Every delay amplifies strategic pressure. Every uncertainty increases risk. And this is what makes mine warfare such a powerful tool. It does not need to achieve permanent denial. Temporary disruption is enough. Because in the interconnected world of today, even temporary disruptions can have lasting consequences. This brings us to the central question. Can the United States Navy secure the Strait of Hormuz in the face of a large-scale mining operation? The answer is not straightforward. It can. But not immediately. Not without risk. And not without consequences. And in that gap, between capability and immediacy, lies the strategic opportunity for its adversaries. This is the reality of modern naval warfare. It is not just about who controls the sea. It is about who can deny it. It is about who can shape the conditions under which access is granted or withheld. And in the narrow waters of the Strait of Hormuz, those conditions are shaped not by the largest ships, but by the smallest weapons. In the end, the lesson is clear. The future of maritime power will not be defined solely by projection. It will be defined by access, by resilience, by the ability to operate in environments where the sea itself becomes contested. And in that future, mine warfare is not a relic of the past. It is a warning from it. A reminder that even in an age of advanced technology, the simplest tools can still shape the most complex outcomes. Because in war, as in strategy, it is not always the most powerful force that prevails. It is the one that understands where power can be limited and how to exploit that limitation. And in the Strait of Hormuz, that limitation is clear. Access can be denied, movement can be slowed, and even the most powerful navy in the world can be forced to wait. Not by overwhelming force, but by the quiet, persistent presence of mines beneath the surface.
Thank you for joining us on this Strategic Vanguard deep dive. If you found value in this analysis, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We bring you fresh deep dives every Wednesday and Saturday here on YouTube and Rumble, and you can also catch the audio versions on Spotify and Amazon Music. Just search for Strategic Vanguard Deep Dive. For more insights, articles, and discussions, subscribe to our blog at StrategicVanguard.com. Your support helps us grow and bring you more in-depth analysis on defense, geopolitics, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay strategic.